Welcome back to the Bentonville Beacon podcast, where we're sharing stories and advice from the entrepreneurs, business executives, and community leaders sparking the rise of the greater Bentonville area, which is home to several of the fastest growing and most dynamic cities in the United States and is nestled in the Ozark Mountains of Northwest Arkansas in the heartland of America. I'm your host, James Bell, and I am thrilled and honored to share the studio today with Mayor Nathan C. from the city of Pea Ridge, which is one of the beautiful communities surrounding Bentonville. Mayor, welcome.
Thank you, James. Thank you, James. I appreciate the invite, and I appreciate being here with you today. I look forward to speaking about Pea Ridge. It's a passionate city of mine, obviously. I'm a little bit biased to it, but great things are happening there.
Excellent. We'll definitely get into that. Let's start with, by jumping right into it, what would you like the Bentonville Beacon audience to know about you?
I would like them to know that Pea Ridge is a thriving community that has great opportunity for growth, family values, and community involvement. And so that's what we piece together as our scope of what we're trying to go after as far as a vision. So that's who we are, and that's who we thrive to be.
Awesome. You want to talk about yourself any?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, then I'll have to ask you more questions.
Okay.
Mayor, at the time of this recording, you are about 8 months into your first term, where you're serving as only the second full-time mayor of Pea Ridge. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
But you've been with the city for 20 years.
Yes.
And you served as the longtime superintendent of streets. But your start with the city was much more humble, if I understand right. I understand that you started with the city really as a temporary contractor mowing.
That's correct.
That right?
I was hired in 2003 as a contract labor to mow the green spaces. There was only 3 guys working at the time, and so I would go out and mow the green spaces and do whatever else was asked of me to do. But that's where my journey began, and it's quite humbling to see where I am today in comparison to where it all started.
No, that's pretty neat. Well, let's talk about that. How does your history of sort of starting at the bottom and rising to the top elected position, how does that make you feel, and how have your experiences been shaped, or how have your experiences shaped how you lead?
Yeah, starting off whenever I was in 2003, I was 21 years old, and wow. I just had great opportunities that went ahead of me. Leadership skills kind of come from church, to be honest. I was part of youth at church. I was youth sponsor at church, and pastoral staff kind of implemented that we go through leadership skills.
Nice.
And so that's kind of where it all began, as well as being under, Mayor Crabtree leadership. Whenever I got into the role of street superintendent in 2010, we really got together and were close-knit fabrically, as far as I knew kind of what to do whenever, before he actually told me what to do. But there was many things that we do as leaders that we can always do better on. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I'll say about leadership is it's something that is, a lot of it's learned through mm-hmm. processes and not so much training that happens. And so through the process of going from street superintendent to mayor, even though I was there for 20 years, James, there's many things I still didn't know. And there's things that the mayor was taking care of that I didn't know was taken care of. I'm like, who's supposed to do that? Well, that's your job now. And so it's kind of you're on the job training at that time. But as far as being elected official, I hope that we create a city that thrives in leadership and compassion.
Excellent. Well, you started with the city at the age of 21, but turns out you have some business experience too. I had to do a little digging for this. If I understand right, you were the owner operator of a business when you were a junior in high school, and 3 years later you sold that business. So, what did your experience with business, what did that teach you that you carry forward to today?
The thing, I started an embroidery business whenever I was in I was in junior high school. My brother owned one in Catoosa, Oklahoma. And so that's kind of what got my passion going as far as, hey, you know what, I want to do this. And so I bought a It's a Toyota single head 15 needle machine. And I did a lot of work, did a lot of local work, a lot of out of state work. But one thing I did learn from that is customer service. Customer service is number one. People want to be heard. And people want to get the product that they ask for. If you can't do it, just tell them you can't do it. Don't try to sugarcoat it and say, I can, but we'll see how it works out. And so through the process of being a business leader today and where I am, I realize the struggles that small business entrepreneurs have. And so I'm trying to thrive that into my elected position to show that, hey, I support small business. I was one once, and I know what you need. But what can we give? What can we do as a city to help you in whatever avenues you need help in? If it's promoting your business, if it's supporting your business, if you're doing a special, let us help you get that out there to the people from the city standpoint. Obviously, small business and entrepreneurship are the bread and butter of what cities thrive off of. And so we really have to make sure that we're taking care of our small business.
Excellent. I know in the times we've interacted and I've needed to connect with businesses in Pea Ridge, it's been very easy. I just connect with you and you push the information out to them. So that's been great. Mayor, let's talk about your beloved city of Pea Ridge. It's one of the rapidly rising stars here in Northwest Arkansas. Frankly, in my mind, it is the next sort of meteoric city here. It's heating up and it's really about to experience some pretty significant positive growth. We've talked a lot about this, but you can tell the story much better than I ever could. I'd love for you to tell the audience, I guess the question is, to what do you attribute this current growth and what are you expecting over the coming years?
I would say that Pea Ridge is growing rapidly, number one, for the great city that we are. Number two, for the great schools that we have. Number three, for where the new home office is.
Yeah.
We have direct contact with the home office down Highway 72. And I'm an advocate to get Highway 72 widened. I've already talked to RDOT. We're working on that currently, trying to get that taken care of because we know that that is a vital part of commuting for people that are going to have to go to the workforce. And we have to be able to be heard by the Highway Commission and be able to let them know what we need because they don't see everything from Little Rock. They don't see everything from Harrison.
That's right.
They need to make a truck over here and we visit. And so that's what we did. Jared Wiley was great. He drove around, realized, done some studies. And so we're kind of projecting that forward for the growth that's coming. And so we have about 1,500 residential lots, 347 multifamily units that are right now fixing to come out of the ground. That's not including anything that we got this past couple months. We hear, I was on the phone whenever I was in Conway with you at CDI, and I had a developer call me and say, hey, I'm looking at this 100 acres. What do you know about it? And so I told him what I knew about it, and it's under contract. And so it's having the information whenever they ask and trying to be prompt on telling them the information that they're asking for. Because if you give them a day or two, it's probably going to leave them and they're going to go somewhere else because you're not being very productive as far as being efficient with their time. Because at the end of the day, they want to know, like, do you really want to grow or do you not want to grow? We really want to grow. We want to grow residential. We want to grow commercial. We want to grow parks and recs. And that's where we want to grow. So we definitely are growing, and there's a lot of red dirt being moved. So
yeah, those are some pretty staggering numbers on what's coming out of the ground. That's incredible. There's two types of growth that are going to affect Pea Ridge over the coming years. It's the growth that happens to you, and it's the growth that you guide, the growth that's more planned. How are you preparing for this growth, both that happens to you and then what's your plan for planned growth?
One thing I did whenever we came in January is I hired a planning director. We didn't have a planning director prior to my election. And so I hired a planning director, and she has taken off with comprehensive land use plans, zoning plans. What are we going to do about water and sewer in these areas with our water and sewer department? And so we're really trying to be proactive rather than reactive to the growth. And so that's where we're trying to let these developers know and let these investors know that we want to work with you and we want you to see what we're doing. That is going to probably make your process a little bit easier than what it has been in the past.
That's great. Well, you're doing a great job of selling Pea Ridge. It's a wonderful place. And so now I'm going to give you opportunity to look into the camera and take the mic and really sell Pea Ridge. Let's talk about first with future residents. Who are the people that are moving to Pea Ridge and who else should be there?
I'd say the people that are moving to Pea Ridge are the people that want the hometown feel. They want to know their neighbor. They want to be able to go to our second Saturdays and pop a chair up next to a friend and enjoy live music and enjoy our vendors that's there at our event. And the people that the one thing I want to do is try to create it to where we help these people fall in love with Pea Ridge and fall in love with who we are. And it all goes back to the heartbeat of the community, and the heartbeat of the community is the people. Mm-hmm. The people are the ones who make the community have the small town feel. You can be a very large city and still have a small town feel because of the culture that you've created within the heart of your community. And so that's where, a lot of people are like, we don't want any more growth. We don't need any more growth. And like, does that stop because you moved here, or does that stop? When does that stop? Right. And so I just try to implement that. We want everybody to come in and be a part and be accepted into our city, and no matter their culture or their background or anything else. And we want them to have a place to play at our parks, and we want them to have a place to enjoy their families and friends and come together as a community at our community events.
Yeah, well said. From a business perspective, we talk to the entrepreneurs and business leaders out there. What businesses should consider Pea Ridge, whether that's by size, industry, sector, however you want to characterize them?
Right now, we are looking at family entertainment, and we are looking for like quick service restaurants. Everybody wants chicken, and everybody wants a Long John Silver's. So that's what I've been searching for. I've been messaging back and forth with Bojangles, and messaging back and forth with Long John Silver's, and I'm trying to plug away like, hey, you need to come to us. Like, look at what we're doing. Look at the growth we're experiencing. I send them our market analysis, our retail market analysis that we had through Retail Academy, and let them know, like, this is where we're at. This is the people that travel through our city during the daytime hours. And so retail is great to have in our community. We have a lot of land, and a lot of land along Highway 72 corridor that is going to be commercial property. And that's what we're trying to, we've already like looked on the zoning map as far as long range planning and kind of earmarked that to be our corridor for commercial. Whenever you have 15,000 plus cars a day on 2-lane road, that's a pretty prominent location to have a retail or have something to that extent. So I would say really anything, we're ready to bring them in. We're prepared. Our development team's prepared. Our sewer plant has been redone. We built a new sewer plant 2 years ago, and that was an $8 million investment that we did. It was very timely that we did that whenever we did. And so we're ready. We're prepped. I mean, as far as infrastructure and stuff goes, I think we have things in line to help these people do a great job.
So smart. And you're right that that Highway 72 corridor is really going to grow up. I mean, it's 5 to 7 miles from city to city to Bentonville. You mentioned earlier the new Walmart home office, new headquarters has moved from the west side of town to the east side of town. We're about a couple of more years from that. All those buildings being fully staffed up. And I see this as a real opportunity for Pea Ridge, and you're already seeing it. Well, I'm thinking about it, if there's somebody out there who hasn't figured out yet, that is, why in the world is the mayor of Pea Ridge on the Bentonville Beacon podcast? Let me clear that up. Anytime I think about Bentonville, I'm really talking about the greater Bentonville area. So that's the city of Bentonville, of course, and then it's the greater part, which largely is represented by the cities of Bella Vista to our north, Centerton to our west, Pea Ridge to our east. And each community offers this beautiful piece of a whole, and we're part of the whole of Northwest Arkansas. And collectively, across Northwest Arkansas, you might even think of the region because of its overall size of over 500,000 people that spread out over a 35-ish mile corridor along I-49. Think of the region of Northwest Arkansas as the city. And then each of these towns then become the communities that are the neighborhoods. And businesses and their workers then can choose the neighborhoods that best fit them. So we're collectively a small, giant city punching well above its body weight. And if you haven't come to check it out yet, you just need to hop in your car or get on a plane and get here yesterday and see for yourself what's happening here in Northwest Arkansas and why you should be part of this adventure too.
Yep.
So Mayor, thinking about what I just said and what you've said so far, how does living in and working in Pea Ridge and in Northwest Arkansas, how does that help people live their best lives?
I think as far as Pea Ridge goes, and regionally, as you were speaking just a minute ago, regionally we are geographically set up in Pea Ridge that we pull a lot of people in from the Missouri side that come in and enjoy our parks and come and enjoy some of our amenities that we have. But one thing that we're trying to do right now is thrive in parks and recs and creating a better quality of life with multimodal transportation that we can do, sidewalk connectivity, and creating that connection for people to have a safe place to walk or to bike on whenever they're in our city. Obviously, Bentonville's the mountain bike capital of the world, and so we want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
We are not that far away of being a part of that, and so why not capitalize off of something that Bentonville is and bring some of that traffic to Pea Ridge? And so that's one thing that's in the heartbeat of who we are, and a plan for us within 5 or 10 years to be able to have a great connection between Bentonville and Pea Ridge.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, when you aren't busy being mayor, and I've seen pictures of you and your beautiful family, what is it that y'all do for fun together?
My kids play sports. My daughter was a cheerleader. Now she's a cheer manager. My son plays every sport that he can play between football, basketball, baseball. Now he's picking up golf. And so my youngest, Addison, she plays basketball and she cheers. And so our kids keep us very busy. And my wife is a secretary at the middle school. And you know, she is the heartbeat of the family. And whenever I told her that I was going to run for mayor, she said, "Are you sure about that?" And it took me some time to convince myself to do so, because it's not something that you wake up and say, "Hey, I'm going to run for mayor." You know, right. I've got a good job. I've been here 20 years now. Now I'm going to change it up a little bit and go be an elected official. That's different. But by the support of my family and allowing me to go do the things that I get to go do, and you know, time is something you never get back. And so make sure you're investing time wisely and being purposeful. And so that's what we do as a family, is be purposeful to, whenever we're together, to do things together. Whenever I'm not with my family and I want to go, my hobby is dirt track racing. So I'll go to Arrowhead Speedway in Siloam Springs, or I'll go to Monette, Missouri and do a dirt track with some friends. And that's where I grew up whenever I was a kid, was at the racetrack. My dad raced sprint cars in Tulsa and 81 Speedway, and he ran with some of the big guys that we know today. But that's where my passion is in that dirt track racing. That's where I grew up from. So
I love that. That's cool.
Yep.
You know, whether it's in Pea Ridge or Bentonville or across Northwest Arkansas, what are some of your favorite places? I mean, you've mentioned some. What are some of your family's favorite places to get out and explore and play?
Tanyard Creek in Bella Vista.
Oh, yeah. And
this is kind of embarrassing to say, but I have not been to the A Street Market until last week. And that has kind of become a new place. Like, hey, we got to come back here. We have to check this out. You had mentioned it whenever we were in CEI. And I told Nikki, I said, we have to go check that out. And so we did. We actually went Friday whenever we get back from CDI. We went over there and had dinner over there. And, you know, I want to be able to be, we go to the National Military Park and check that out, and be able to go to some of the Crystal Bridges and do that stuff that we have right here in our backyard. There's so many times that people who live here don't go and visit the things in their backyard because they live here.
That's right.
And so I didn't do that for years. Like, I didn't the only time I ever went to the military park was in school, and then one other time. And then, now it's kind of become more intentional about getting out and about and seeing the things that are out there. But we love to do local stuff, but as a family, my wife, she would live at the beach. And so that's where we go on vacation. We go to the beach. We go to Destin. This past summer, we just went to Mexico and took the kids for the first time, and that was fun for them to experience that. And so we are a pretty tight fit community and family in ourselves. We do almost everything together.
Neat. Well, we need to get your wife a beach chair.
Yes. Amen.
Let's work on that.
Let's work on that one.
Hey, the trademark question of this show is a hashtag because Bentonville story, but we're going to shake things up today. I'll ask it a little differently, sort of in a nod to our friends, the Northwest Arkansas Council and their LifeWorks Here program. I'll ask you a hashtag LifeWorks Here story. And that's something that happened where you look back at it and you think, you know what, that could only happen in Pea Ridge, or it could only happen in Northwest Arkansas or this region. What would that story be for you?
Man, I don't know. What first comes to mind is like our Pea Ridge Mule Jump, like our event that we have. That's a heritage of ours that we carry. And that's different than what you're going to see at any other place, Yeah. It's different than, like you can go to the fair, you can go to these festivals and see certain things, but our Pea Ridge Mule Jump this is our 34th year doing it. And it's something that's different that everybody can come out and have a family event there and be a part of. The other thing that we do, differently is being able to, I myself want to be accessible to people and be able to let people know, like, I'm a human just like you are. It does not matter if I'm elected and I talked to the football team yesterday, the Pea Ridge Blackhawk football team. And I told them, I said, I'm Nathan C. Whenever you see me out and about, you don't have to call me Mayor C. I am Nathan C. And I know a lot of those kids because they're in my daughter's grade, and my son's grade. But, in all reality, there's, it's not about your title. It's not about if you're rich, if you're cool. It's about how you treat people at the end of the day that they look at. And so I always want to be able to be the person that people can look at and say, I really want to support him because of who he is, not because of what he has, because I don't have anything to offer. I only want them to be able to look at me and say that he was kind to me, that he cared. And I want to be a leader that people can look at, that I can impact their lives.
That's fantastic.
I don't know if that was really on key. Got off for a minute. So
that's wonderful. We're hearing some great nuggets of wisdom here on this show today, and I really appreciate that. As we start wrapping up, these last few questions are a hodgepodge of randoms and advice and sort of informational questions. So we'll start with this, the simplest one first. And that is, if somebody out in the audience is listening to or watching this show and they want to know more about you or about the city of Pea Ridge, what's the best way to do that?
I'd say just give me a call, shoot me an email. Let's set up a time and meet. I like to meet people face to face and be able to create that camaraderie and show that that I care. And so mayor@cityofpearidge.com is the email. And you can just shoot me an email and we'll get everything figured out from there. As far as I'll make time to meet with you. That's one thing that I will always do and be intentional about it.
Excellent. Well, I think it would be a real miss if I didn't ask you this question that I jotted down. You mentioned CDI earlier. So you and I just last week embarked on a 3-year journey together that programs Community Development Institute. And before I ask this question, first I want to acknowledge the Walton Family Foundation and say thank you for funding the Community Development Pipeline, because you and I benefited from that, in that we're 2 of the scholarship recipients. And it fully covers the cost of the program and hotels and the such when we travel. You are one of several elected officials in our cohort. So will you share what this program means to you and how it'll help us as we build Pea Ridge and Bentonville and the greater Bentonville area our communities together. And plus, what's your pitch to other elected officials and community leaders? Why should they be part of CDI?
CDI brought a lot of stuff to light for me from being an elected official and being able to realize how important it is that we integrate mental health, education, workforce housing, all this stuff into our community. It's like layers of fabric that you got to put together to make a nice quilt. And at the end of the day, that's what we want our city to be, is be a beautiful quilt, if you will. And it takes all these layers to do so. And so for me, my main takeaway was that whenever you are doing anything in a city, have everybody involved. Make it at a reasonable time that everybody can attend. Make it at a reasonable time to get their attention, and give them the attention that they deserve whenever they have questions. And so the diversity and inclusion that we went through, equity and inclusion that we went through, really opened my eyes to, you know what, why are we doing a public meeting at 2:00 in the afternoon? Why are we people work? And so I think from here on out, we're going to do it at 6 or 7. That way people that are in the workforce can come and be a part of that conversation. And so that's what opened my eyes to that. And elected officials, educators, you're missing out if you're not being a part of this. This is something that can change the way that you look at your city and the way that your city grows in the way that it should grow. This can help you kind of earmark the things that you maybe are missing out on, or maybe the way that you're doing it isn't the wrong way, but this is something that can help you mitigate some issues that you're having. I know Mayor Falk was there, and Mayor Elkins was there, and Mayor Chris Moore was there. And so, Judge Deacons was there, which was the mayor of Newtonia twice. And so that was something that was fun. And you know what? The main thing that I took away from this, James, now I have 42 plus resources that I can pull from.
Yeah.
I can get a hold of Tara with the U of A. I can get a hold of you. I can get a hold of Philip Powers. I can get a hold of Wilson with Harrison. You know, those are people that you knew maybe before you went, but I didn't know those. And being able to have those connections really will help you in creating what you want to do next. Ross with the Rogers Chamber, you know, our collaborations that we had a little bit here and there. I think altogether is what CDI does, is it brings everybody to one room, to one purpose, and to one focus. And let's get together and realize that we're focusing on this right here. Don't worry about everything else that's going on right now. We need to focus on this and be educated on what we need to be doing. So yeah, definitely thank you to the Walton Family Foundation for the grant for that. It was myself and my community development coordinator that went. Dustin Fye went with us. Next year, that roster is going to be quite a bit longer, because I've already asked people to sign up, from my planning director to some of the educators at the high school. I talked to Keith Martin, and we're going to try to get more of those plugged in, because this is vital for communities to grow. And what I took away from all this is that newly elected officials really should go through this. And I think that's where I would start with what I would say to elected officials is, if you're new, this is highly recommended. And so that goes to city council members as well, because they're involved just as well as the mayor is, in being able to see maybe what can be done in comparison to what you're doing.
I love that you described that as the fabric how the fabric to make a quilt is knitted together. I hadn't thought of it quite that way, but that is absolutely perfect. All these things that you mentioned they're not interchangeable; they're interwoven. And when you change one, it affects the others. And, you know, we see that as we grow, and it means we have to lean in even harder. And that you mentioned the intentionality of making sure everybody's in the room. Man, that is so important as you build a community and want to move forward. And it is very easy to say, yeah, we meet at 2:00. That's the time we meet. Everybody's open. It's open to the public.
That's right.
You know, if folks can't be there, they can't be there. So that's really important. Let's see what else I have in my notes here.
Okay.
Mayor, I have a question that I come back to from time to time on this show. It's my superpower question.
Okay.
Suppose for a moment that you have a superpower, but it comes with a severe limitation. What would your superpower and limitation be? And if you need a moment, I can give you some examples too.
I would say that my superpower, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but my superpower would be to never give up, like always be thriving. It's hard to take no for an answer. So if you get told no, go back with kind of redo the question and see if you can get a different answer. So I don't know. I think that the hard part to that is as every city does. Mm-hmm. Every city wants to do great things. It comes down to dollars. It comes down to, we're going to say no because we don't have the money, or what can we do to make our communities better is, we can all have great water parks, great mm-hmm. sidewalks, and great connectivity and better quality of life. But there's things that are missing that we can't fund. And a lot of that is, how are we going to do that? And so that's one thing that I'm working with right now is how am I going to do certain things? I've been told, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. So I'm trying to reconfigure some things to figure out there's got to be a way. Like somebody else has done this in the past. And so that's where it goes back to the CDI connections and resources to figure out what can we do.
Yeah, that is a great network of people to work with. And it's not even just the 42 in our class, right? It's the other year one cohort sitting next to us. Right. The year two folks like Wilson, or he'll be year three next year, the year three folks and so on. It's just an incredible network of people. And then you've got the alumni base to plug into as well. 3 more questions. What's your favorite thing about the growing number of collaborations between Pea Ridge and Bentonville?
My favorite thing about that is that Bentonville isn't that far from Pea Ridge, and being able to come together and collaborate together on things will help Pea Ridge fulfill some stuff that we wouldn't be able to fulfill otherwise. Mm-hmm. And being a part of the Greater Bentonville Chamber, it has definitely sprung a lot of new ideas, a lot of new programs, as we did the RBiz Summit in mm-hmm. Pea Ridge not too long ago. And we look forward to doing things like that with the Greater Bentonville Chamber. And, Bentonville has great things going on in Bentonville. And so from the murals that they do to the mountain bike trails to sculptures, and that's some stuff that we're trying to bring a little bit to Pea Ridge is why not grab a hold of some of these resources that Bentonville is using and bring them to Pea Ridge. We're not that far away. And so recently I got a hold of Mike Abb with Runway Group, and he got me with Chase Sharp, which is an artist, and we're looking at doing a building. We're looking at doing a mural on a building. And so I really do appreciate, and I love that there is so much compassion for the region, mm-hmm. not only region, for the state. I mean, from the Walton Family Foundation and from the Waltons themselves and from Runway Group, that they're always willing to lend a hand to help out in any facet that they can. And so whenever we are looking at doing things, they're always there to say, if we can help, we will. Just let us know what we can help with. And, Jeremy Pate and Meredith and, Robert Burns, great group of people. Recently got to meet them. I did not know them before I was elected. I knew Katie Parsons before I was elected mm-hmm. because she done some stuff with the mountain bike trails. And Andy Chastain I knew, and Gary Vernon I knew. But I just love the collaboration that they bring to Northwest Arkansas as a team. And, as we get bigger and as Pea Ridge grows, there's going to be more and more interest to do some cool things. And mm-hmm. so I'm glad that we're starting that partnership now. That way we can have that partnership later.
Perfect. What's your favorite thing about being mayor of the city of Pea Ridge, Arkansas?
My favorite thing that I am passionate about is positive growth. Being able to be a part of it right now as it grows in the manner that it does, is being able to be a part of that. Whenever we were talking earlier about commercial and about the 72 corridor, I would like to see us grow that corridor in commercial. And I'd like to be a part of that, to see that come to fruition. I'd like to see family entertainment. I would like to see a sports complex done. I have a vision probably for 20 years out of what we want to be doing there. And so I hope that we can fulfill that and make it happen. And we can do that by the partnerships that we can create.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to helping do my small part. And as you already know, the Greater Bentonville Area Chamber is going to be really leaning into that greater part of our name over the over the coming years, over the coming months. You're going to see a lot more of us in the community, and it's exciting to be part of your story.
Well, thank you very much. And back to the Greater Bentonville Chamber, Ashley and her staff and yourself have always been very intentional about reaching out to Pea Ridge. Always been there to say, hey, what can we do to help out? Hey, we have a new business coming to town. Well, let's do a ribbon cutting for them. That's always been something that we've been a part of, but I see it being more and more in today's world. And so thank you very much for the intentionality. Thank you for letting me be here on your podcast. I actually subscribed to it so I could listen to previous ones. So I'll be following you quite frequently on your podcast. So thank you very much, James.
Well, I appreciate that. We'll have to get some more Pea Ridge businesses on as well. Okay, final question. What's something I should have asked you that I did not ask? This is like the closing statement in a debate.
I don't know that there's anything that you should have asked. There's certain things that I wish I could talk about, but I can't talk about.
Understand.
There's a lot of things coming down the pipeline for Pea Ridge, and we're excited to see what's going to happen. And you'll be a part of those excitements that we see happen. And I don't really have anything else, honestly.
All right.
You did a great job.
Well, you did as well. Mayor C, thank you so much for spending time with me and the Bentonville Beacon audience today. Thank you for your service to the city of Pea Ridge and for welcoming me to serve your community as well, and the chamber to do that, and through our economic development work. I admire your passion and your leadership in the community, and I'm confident that the citizens of Pea Ridge and future residents and the current businesses and future businesses are in very good hands.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, James.
Hey, thanks to our Bentonville Beacon audience as well. Without you, there wouldn't be a purpose for this show. So if you will, to build on the show's success, go ahead and share this episode and this show on social media or however you'd like with your friends and colleagues around the world, and keep coming back to learn more about the entrepreneurs, the business executives, and the community leaders who are sparking the rise of the greater Bentonville area. And come back to learn more about greater Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas, this place where you get more of what you want and less of what you don't. For all of our episodes, check them out at bentonvillebeacon.com or on your favorite podcast player, where you will hit that subscribe button. Thanks. We'll see you next time.